Hare Krishna. So, Krishna has spoken about his inconceivable nature, especially the inconceivable relationship with the material world, where he said that everything rests on him, but at the same time, everything does not rest in him. And then he gave the example of the sky and the wind. So, wind is always in the sky, but at the same time, the sky is detached from the wind. So, we have discussed this very elaborately in the previous 3 videos. Now, Krishna is going to speak about what happens at the start of the millennium and what happens at the end of the millennium. Again, a very interesting shloka which gives the facts and figures of our human life, not just human life, our entire lifespan from time immemorial, what we are doing. So let's see that in shloka number 7. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrajamyaham. So here Krishna is saying, O Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Kalpakshaye, at the end of millennium, what happens? Sarva bhutani prakritim yanti mamikam. So all the material manifestations enter into my nature, mamikam. And then he says, Kalpadau, at the beginning of another millennium, what happens? Visrajami aham. I create them. So whatever was annihilated, now he creates it. And he says, Punastani, again and again. So what happens at the start of millennium? The creation happens. What happens at the end of millennium? Annihilation happens, where all the living entities take shelter of Krishna. And again, when creation happens, Krishna creates again. And then the living entities are injected in the creation. So it's a very interesting verse. Let's see various technical aspects which are there in this particular shloka. The creation, maintenance and annihilation of this material cosmic manifestation are completely dependent on the supreme will of the personality of Godhead. So this particular point we have discussed elaborately in the previous videos, that how creation, maintenance and annihilation, everything happens by the supreme will of the Lord. Krishna just has to will and everything will happen. He need not personally come and do something. His energies will do the rest. And then here, it's talked about the end of the millennium. Now, when we talk about the millennium, we have to understand what are we talking about. We're talking about the death of Brahma. In one of the videos, we have discussed the span of 1 day of Brahma. So we said that in 1 day of Brahma, there are 14 Manvantaras. One Manvantara consists of 71 Divya Yugas. And one Divya Yuga is all about Satya Yuga plus Treta Yuga plus Dwapar Yuga plus Kali Yuga. And what is the span of Kali Yuga? 4,32,000 years. That is what is the span of Kali Yuga. To make the calculation simple, what we did in one of the videos was, we considered, let the span of Kali Yuga be x. So, Dwapar Yuga becomes 2x. Treta Yuga span becomes 3x. And Satya Yuga span becomes 4x. So, 4x plus 3x plus 2x plus 1x, that comes to 10x. That is what is the span of one Divya Yuga. And it's a known fact from Bhagavad Gita, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam. There are many shlokas which talks about that. So 1,000 Divya Yugas actually make 1 day of Brahma. So 1,000 into 10x. And that, if we put the value of x also, that is 4,32,000 years. The total stuff that comes to 4.32 billion years. That is what is the duration of 1 day of Brahma. And equivalent or equal stuff is the night of Brahma. So same span, day and night. So 12 hours is 4.32 billion years, and the another 12 hours of Brahma in night time is 4.32 billion years. Now, let's try to calculate the entire lifespan of Brahma. So, Brahma lives his 100 years. So 100 years. So 100 multiplied by, let's consider for simplified calculation, that 1 year consists of 360 days, Brahma's days. So 100 into 360 days. Now multiplied by 1 day, the duration of 1 day plus night. So 1 day is 4.32 billion years multiplied by 2 times. So that will make up to day plus night. So total span of 1 day plus night of Brahma. So the entire equation now is 4.32 billion multiplied by 2 multiplied by 360 multiplied by 100, and this calculation comes to 311 trillion 40 billion years. This is what is the entire lifespan of Brahma. So Brahma lives for 311 trillion 40 billion years. Isn't that amazing? And it is said that this span of Brahma, which is so huge for human calculation, is just a flash of lightning when it comes to the eternity. If we consider Vishnu's breathing in and breathing out, this Brahma's lifespan is just a flash. This is what Shastras say. Now just imagine, what about us? We just live for 50, 60, 70, max 100 years. And we think it's huge. If Brahma's lifespan of 311 trillion 40 billion years is a flash, then we are nowhere. Our lifespan is nowhere. So it is said that life is very short, goal is very high, every moment should be utilized without wasting. Every moment should be utilized in practicing devotional service. Here, let's talk about what happens at the end of day of Brahma. So here it is given. When Brahma dies, a devastation or annihilation takes place. This means that the energy manifested by Supreme Lord is again wound up in himself. Then again, when there is a need to manifest the cosmic world, it is done by his will. He expands himself in this material energy and the whole cosmic manifestation again takes place. So it's Krishna who is doing, where he manifests the entire creation by his energy, and when it comes to annihilation, he just winds up all the energy within himself. This is exactly what happens at the time of creation and at the time of annihilation. So Krishna is making this point that at the end of millennium, that is at the end of one Brahma's lifespan, all the material creation that is there is wound up. To be more specific, here Krishna says, Prakritim yanti mamikam, enters into my nature. This is what is the line that is used. And at the beginning of another millennium, when another Brahma takes birth, what happens? Krishna says, by my potency, I create them again. So this is a wonderful, it's almost like a plaything for Krishna, where he just creates and annihilates. This is what is the greatness of Krishna. And here, when we read all this, especially this particular shloka, one thing that should happen in us is the humility should sprout. Humility should come somehow or the other. When we understand how great the Lord is, automatically we will understand how chutku or how small we are. When we actually understand our real position, our real status of life, till now we might be thinking, oh, I'm something in the society, I'm something in the country. But when we understand how great the Lord is and how great the creation of the Lord is, but still, even Brahma's span becomes very insignificant. Brahma becomes very insignificant. Where am I in the entire equation? I'm nowhere. I have no existence when I compare myself with the Supreme Lord and His creation. When we think like this, automatically we will become humble. And humility is the key to advance in bhakti. If someone is humble, automatically that person will progress very, very fast in Krishna consciousness. He'll be able to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra constantly. This is what is the verdict given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that anyone who is more humbler than the blade of grass, tolerant than a tree, who gives respect to all others and expects none in return, such a person can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, constantly without any break. Having said this, Krishna is going to describe in the next shloka that how this entire cosmic manifestation is manifested and annihilated again and again. So let's see that in the next video. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,